יופי. איזה יופי. Wow. How's that? תומאס, ישר כוח, ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. All right, חברים, good morning, good chodesh, good everything. The whole week's been sponsored in memory of Don Mordechai ben Nachum, and today also is being sponsored by Yehudit Reisel Sukkah Shalom by Judy Brat. I don't remember the full name, but by the Brats as well today, Be'ezer Hashem. Someone else? Okay, Hashem should forgive me, and the Chaver that sponsored should forgive me, but I think that was it. I don't have an updated Tammuz one, but I'm so honored that Tom joined us today, and he shared his love, he shared his magic. We should all be inspired for whatever you call it, a spiritual, that's what you say, spiritual revolution. That's what it's all about anyway. All right, so we have today a new Perek, Baruch Hashem, Perek Yud Gimel. We're nearing the end of the part of the Sefer that's basically the Torah. After that, you'll see it's something different. I'm hoping, Be'ezer Hashem, is when we finish, we'll probably finish this in Elul, that to take the whole Chabura and go to Rabbi Yaakov Meir Shechter and just say thank you and share with him our appreciation and our love. Also, I just remembered it's Yer Zayda's Yortzeit this Shabbos. I want to do a Leilui Nishmas Yer Zayda. Zalman Meshulam Chia ben Reb Shalom HaKoyen is his Yortzeit this Shabbos, so that as well. Okay. Kuf Yud Tet. Zmiras. How are you guys doing with Zmiras at the Shabbos table? How's it working out? Strong? It's like, our Yiddishkeit's kind of dependent on that, no pressure, there is a Shita, it's not so widespread, Chas de Hashem, absolutely no Zmiras at all at the Shabbos table, for whatever the reason is, but we all know that,
You just say it.
Huh?
You just say it.
Yeah, but you can't smile. You have to just say Menucha v'Simcha or La Yehuda. You cannot. Yeah, it's. But if you see here, you see like it seems like the Sefer was more or less finished, and then you see what happened. Look at over here. The parak is called Sudos Shabbos Azamar B'Shmachim. Now, what's interesting here is that it says Koach Hanagina Lis'alos Lisdabek B'Hashem Yisbarach Ule'umaz Sakanas Hanagina D'Sitra Achra. Whoa. This is going to make a lot of people here feel very uncomfortable at a certain point during this parak. The power of Nigunim D'Kedusha, of holy music, holy songs, and the power of the other side when it comes to music and unholy music. And this is a very, very deep sugi in the teachings of Rabbi Nachman. The Koyach HaNagan HaRasha, the Nagan that's drawing his energy from the Koyach of the Sitra Achra, and how that music, listen, I think most of us here at a certain point in our life, we're completely drawn by some very dark forces when it came to music, whether we were aware of it or unaware of it. One time I was sitting with Rav Weinberger Shlita, and he was talking about how back when they were kids, 60s, early 70s, the koyach of the negina from that side wasn't sitra achra. It was maybe more halal. It was like empty, but it wasn't like dark. And he started quoting me. And he started quoting to me Paul Simon lyrics, Jackson Brown. Literally, I was sitting there, I couldn't believe it. But the koach today, where we see it could, especially 90s grunge, brought a very dark black hole energy. Mama, huh? I'm not. Like the era we went, huh? Black hole sun. Won't you come? Chas v'shalom. Exactly. And obviously the darkness of Chevra taking their lives. We know what we're speaking about. But zeh le'umad zeh, meaning, we can keep on. I don't want to harp too much on that side. Let's talk more about the other place. Now look what he writes here. This is the Chevra that put the Sefer together. Nitbakashnu me'et morenu Rabbeinu Hagon Tzadik Shlita. We were asked by Rav Yaakov Meir Shechter להכניס כאן פרק מיוחד בענייני נגינה, גודל מעלסה, עבודסה הנעלה, והזהירוס מההיפוך, ניגונים לא טובים. And he said it seems like they were about to finish this Sefer, and then he said, listen, it's about Shabbos, right? This whole thing, Kedusha, Shabbos, v'chulei, Yom HaChamadim, let's put in here, we have to put in here this whole element of Shabbos, the aspect of the Zmiras, of the Nigunim. So some of this is literally speaking just about, Zmiras, but some of it is speaking about, music in general. Now, when he says here, Nigunim lo tovim, do you think for 1 second this chevra thought that Rav Yaakov Meir Shechter was speaking about, I don't know, was talking about, STP and not Piton. What does it mean, Nigunim lo tovim? What does that mean? What does that mean? This is a touchy subject that my brother has gotten shechted over for quite some time. What does it mean, Nigunim lo tovim? What is that referring to? Not good Nigunim.
It's like Jewish music that's influenced by the Shtiyot.
Is it like not holy music? Isn't it like really nothing
That's one. I mean, non-holy music, I could say that's just like.
No, but like by not holy individuals or something.
I can't hear.
Not holy individuals. That's what I'm like Jewish music by people who are.
Gam. I mean, Gam. Again, who it's very hard to judge. These things are very almost impossible to say. You're holy, you could sing. You're unholy, you can't sing. It's that's not mitzidenu to be able to say such a thing.
Is there a gaiva aspect to the musician? Like if they have like a...
Rav Riskin once said there should be a thing called kol ish. Everyone's so big on kol isha. There should be a whole thing called kol ish, where the tznius of a person is just like unheard of. That maybe that's an aspect also.
A nigga that you don't want to know what the words mean, according to your brother, that would be unholy.
A nigun that you don't want to know what the words mean. Listen, it's one of the reasons why. I mean, this is something that we didn't do yet. I know David and I spoke about this, but Anim Zmiros is very hard for me. We spoke about this many times. Anim Zmiros in shul is what it became the child's opportunity to do something, and it's very, very hard. And the more you learn Pnimius and the more you're sensitive to the words that you're saying, it's very, very problematic. It's not so pashut. The problem is that you have to know. You have to know. You have to be smart.
What's that with the words?
La'efech. Anim Zmiros is the words are so deep. They're the deepest of the deep. So therefore, why do we send up a kid to go up and have chevra talking? Aron Kodesh is open, where we know the halacha. The Mechaber even speaks more aggressively about speaking while the Aron Kodesh is open, meaning if the setting was mat'im to the words and what's going on, that'd be a different story. It's okay. No one's doing this b'chavana. It's just. I think all of us grew up in shuls where that was just what it was. No one's doing anything, God forbid, malicious. It's just a state of awareness and consciousness. Yeah.
But why do we assume that he can't be saying Nigunim Lo Tovim is Mamash Nigunim Lo Tovim? The Rambam in the Perush HaMishnah of Pirkei Avos, the Rambam has a long commentary about which Nigunim are, we should listen to or not listen to. And it's not beneath the Rambam. Why should it be beneath the Rambam?
So this is where we're coming to. What does this mean? Nigunim Lo Tovim. What does that mean? So today, I wouldn't even put it into, he's being like Kav Schus, I would definitely not throw these things into the category called Nigunim, the stuff that we're going to be speaking, like some examples. You have today, I mean, this is like a thing that when I was doing weddings and my brother was starting to do weddings, then we would always send each other videos of a dance that the people would do at the friends of the chassan, friends of the chassan would do during weddings. I hope I'm not insulting anybody, but there's this nigun that came out by the Chevra. Remember this years ago? Yeah, hey, yeah, hey. This is very, very problematic stuff. Hey, shalom arab. This is very difficult stuff. And they meant l'shem shamayim. I have no doubt. Another one. These are nigunim. Yeravna Chabatzke. Yeravna sichi alecha kinafshi sarag elecha. And then you take words like that. It's very, very. No, you're not going over any Yisurim. It's just a matter of the sensitivity of your neshama to these words and to what needs gunim. Now, what happened? And Rav Weinberger once gave me a kuntras that scared the daylights out of me about what happens when you take such holy words and you put on it pop music that has no shaykhus to nothing. Now, I know what you're going to come and say. Even the Rebbe took the Napoleon's March or the French national anthem, the Chule. let's get, let's you know what I mean? But this sugya is so murkav because you're taking the spiritual equivalent of basa v'chalav, spiritually speaking. Now again, you'll say, no, it's all relative. Whatever brings a person in, nachon, and no one's over anything, and no one should be judged for these things. But for us that are learning the pnimius of these words, the sensitivity level can be raised, and we're trying to do that yom v'layla here. Just the sensitivity to the words we're already saying, the awareness list of already saying. Oh, no, I'm not even getting to the Shabbos table. He's just saying nigunim lo tovim. So Reb Aaron is saying very good, meaning it's not exactly what I'm saying, but that inyan of what does it mean based on what you were saying? What do you think falls into that category?
Me. The Rambam says that the Rambam was talking about probably Arabic. Yes, but he's talking about non-Hebrew music. The Rambam says that people make a mistake and they think that just because the music is in a different language, that means it's bad, and just because the music is in Hebrew, that means it's good. The Rambam says
that nikuda. That's the nikuda I'm talking about. Just because it's in Hebrew, mistama, that means it's kosher. That's exactly the nikuda. So when is there a hizdamnut? When is there an opportunity to sweeten this? When is there an opportunity to take advantage of the tzad of kedusha of all this? It's when we understand what the context of Zmirot Shabbat are all about. Okay, what the purpose of Zmirot Shabbos are all about. So, look over here. This is basically it's taken from some of the other Sfarim. It's brought in here in a very beautiful context. Look at this. Anu ro'im dvar pele. שבכל השירות התהילות וההודעות על הטוב שנשפע לישראל נזכרת תמיד החמאת האויב. We're going to have it also on this Shabbos in the Shiras HaBe'er. Every time there's a concept of singing in the Torah, it's not just you singing a song about how beautiful and how sweet it is. It's not just that, right? It's also speaking about, and our enemies fell. That's part of the shir.
Can I just ask a question? It's a grammatical question. I see it says shirot. Isn't it shirim? Is that on purpose?
Shirot v'tishbachot. It's the way we sing in davening. Yeah. No, there's no in here. It probably does in the deepest places of Kabbalah. I know, not really. So you understand what he's saying when you say Az Yashir Moshe v'Yisrael Ashir al Hashem ki ga'ah, right? What do we have a few psukim after describing how high it is to sing and how beautiful it is to sing? Tipolem masal afachad bigdos racha idmu ka'aven, right? All the side of the other side of what happens. Not just it's so beautiful, but also look, and our enemies fell. That's whenever it's speaking about singing like this, like he says over here, Sus v'roch v'ram avayam, Markev was part of Echel avayam, Yivchal shelishtat b'miyamsuf. That's, we know, most of us are familiar with that because we say it every morning. V'chen b'shirat dvorah, in Sefer Shoftim, Perek Vav, I think it's Perek Vav or Perek Hey, Shirat dvorah, and Barak, with Barak ben Avinoam, v'halmas Yisra machkar rosho machza v'chalfa rakato, meaning it speaks about the other side of what enabled them to sing a song, like what else was taking place. Not just beauty, but also part of beauty is, and our enemies are falling and drowning and being killed. V'chen zmirot haShabbat meleim benikmat haoyev. Now the Zmiros of Shabbos are also filled with descriptions of revenge in our enemies. Can anyone think of any of them?
Before benching, we say on the harot. That's not a
zemer. That's a little bit. That's benching. But what in benching? Can anyone think of any of them? I mean, you could look at the back of the sefer. He goes through benching now.
In benching or?
Yeah. Sorry. In Zmiros. Not. I'm sorry. My bad.
The one of the result from third meal.
Yeah. So in Bnei Chala, it's filled over there with talking about, like, the other side also. And you see it also in Azamar B'Shvachim, in the three.
the sixth.
Yeah, what does it say there?
Thomas.
Where? I'll take his word for it unless we want to go through every single Zemer, and you'll notice it tonight, you'll notice it tomorrow, you'll notice it tomorrow evening. So he said, "V'chen zmiros haShabbos meleim benikmas haoyev." Let's go back inside here, and then afterwards, if anyone finds it, we'll find it. Now, because this is important to look at the words here. V'gam etzem perush zmiros. We only think it means songs, but we also know the halachas of, what's one of the 39 melachas? Huh? What is zomer? Pruning. What does that mean? To cut. Zamer aritzim, to cut. Hu milishon kritaz, mirat aritzim. An aritz is a, how do you say this? Like a,
You said Taritz, right?
yeah, well, aritz, no, that, ma'aritzim is fan, and aritz is a dictator, like a dictator. Is mirat aritzim. היינו שבתוך הזמר תמונה ההחלטה וההכנעה של הצד שכנגד. He's saying, in the zemer, when you're singing B'Kedusha, it's not just that you don't even realize what's happening. While you're singing B'Kedusha, you're also mezamer aritzim. You're also cutting down the other side. Now, the Beis Yaakov, the Ben Shilach's son, we only have 3 volumes of the individual ones. I've gotten so many different answers why we don't have Bamidbar and Dvarim. Some say it was lost in the war. Some say it just never went to print. But Bamidbar, Bereshis, Shmos, and Vayikra are very fat volumes of the Mashilach's son, Rabbi Yaakov Ishbitzer, where, of course, most of it is basically taking the small Vortlach of his father and building binyanim on it. But almost every Torah, the first in the Parsha, the first few Torahs in every Parsha, is basically a take on Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir, that first I have to Mizamer in order to Lashir. First I have to cut away in order to sing. Yeah.
Does this really, but does this exist, this on Shabbat, this concept of Sitra Achra, that we need to cut it away, or does it not even exist in on Shabbat?
It's part of what our avoda is doing is we're wiping it away. We're getting rid of whatever doesn't need to be get rid of.
So it kind of exists even on Shabbos.
We shouldn't even think about it. He's saying it's mimela, what you're doing with Zmirot is something very holy that's not, you don't think you're just singing and everything's just good. It's in the context of a bigger picture.
Because it's what we do in Psukei de Zimra.
Psukei de Zimra. We're cutting away everything.
So we're cutting away these negative influences, but we're also Shirah. So does that also exist on Shabbat when we have even a longer Psukei de Zimra? I don't know.
If it didn't, there wouldn't. If it didn't, based on that, maybe there wouldn't be Psukei de Zimra, based on that. But apparently we do. Let's see how he brings it here. וגם עצם פירוש זמירות הוא מלשון כריתה זמירת הניצים, היינו שבתוך הזמר תמונה ההחלטה וההכנעה של הצד שכנגד, כי הוא עניין אחד. It's all one matter really. כי כל השמחה והשירה דקדושה היא מפני שמתבטל הכנגד, הגבורה דסתרא אחרא, או שהוא נמתק, וממילא נמשכים ישועות גדולות. So not only it's either that other side is basically vanishing, or like we said right now in the halacha with bread and salt, that it's nimtak, that it's getting sweetened. Ki kol zman shehanegdi kayam, as long as the opposition exists, yesh sevel v'tzar ba'olam. You could be doing great things, but as long as the other side still chai v'kayam, there's still a lot of pain in the world. כי על ידי הגבורות שלא נמתקו, מתעכבת השפעת הישועות מלבוא חס ושלום. There's a certain level of redemption that we're all longing for and looking for, and it's like we say, wow, we're trying so hard, we're doing good things, and yet it seems that the other side is still very, very strong. He says, yes, that's true.
So you're not trusting yourself until the day of your death.
Talk louder so everyone can hear you.
I think it's like saying, don't believe in yourself until the day of your death. Isn't that essentially?
Al tamim b'atzcha ad yom moscha. Meaning there's still...
That force is always there.
It's there, but he's saying over here that force is still there until it's sweetened. And then when it's sweetened, and he's going to explain how they get sweetened, this keneged, this gevura of the other side, it gets sweetened when it's used with the proper way how to sing on Shabbos. ואכן, לעתיד, כשיתקיים ואת רוח הטומאה האוויר מן הארץ, and in the future, what's going to be? Hashem the ruach of Tumah will be removed from the land. יהיה זה על ידי שהגבורות יהיו נכללים בימין, יבטלו את הגבורה והכוח דסתרא אחרא. This is a little bit way over our game right now, but just in a nutshell, what it's explaining over here, anyone that's learned this farm, especially when Rabbi Nachman speaks about this, of the nechlal, hachlala of the gvuros and chasadim, it's amazing how it's mamash just what we spoke about right now after davening. It's like mamash the same exact concept. We always think that the point is to burn out bad, to get rid of it. And the Rebbe was so big on lahafoch et haolam. There's two ways of approaching the other side. One is I have to kill, get rid of. But then there's this inyan of ishapcha, mahapecha, very good, of flipping it over, of changing it over. You can only do that with abundance of light, not so much. You know, I was learning this. It's just very interesting. I have this book of interviews done with Rav Yitzchak Ginsburg in the 90s, right after Oslo and right after Gimel Tammuz, like a few years after that. So someone asked him. They said, "Why didn't you follow Rav Meir Kahana? It sounds like a lot of your shitot are very similar to his." He said, very interesting. He says, "I'm a mystic. And the logo of Kahana is a fist." He says, "I'm a chassid." That's what he said. He said, "I'm a chassid. I need to see a light, you know, in order to do my avoda in the world." In this Svarim, and in Rabbi Nachman, it's speaking about a lot about hamtaka sadinim, sweetening the judgments. That is like a twofold avoda that Zmira does. Zmira either cuts away or it sweetens the judgments. Now you can understand why, for instance, in Chabad, there are certain nigunim that come from the French army, or the French national anthem, or Napoleon's march. Because what's happening over there with Kavana Ilah? Hamtaka, sweetening it.
The tune itself?
What it resembled, not that the tune itself, what it resembled to people. That, you know, back in the day, in the time of the Alter Rebbe, who was running after the Alter Rebbe? Napoleon. What did he resemble in the world back then? Napoleon was... Who was greater than Napoleon in the time of Napoleon? In the eyes of the world, right? The whole story of the Alter Rebbe's Ptira, he was running away. It's a crazy story. Why is he buried in Hadich? Anyone know why he's buried in Hadich? Hadich is not... Hadich is it's even hours away from Niezhin, but Niezhin only became Niezhin because of Hadich. Why is he buried there? He was in the middle of running away. It's a whole story. Motzei Shabbos Vayetze, they're running away from Napoleon. He resembled that side. So there's Sfarim written about what we're saying right now about the Hamtaka of these inyanim coming from there. Then there are inyanim also that have to be completely, nechrat. Like if anyone tried to pull a Nirvana nigun during the Chadodi, they'd be thrown out of here. You understand? There's certain levels that are bichlal not. They shouldn't be. They should just be. Like for instance, when one time someone came to the Rebbe, you all know this famous video, and it was a guy that was Jews for Jay, and he brought his Sfarim with him, lahavdil, because he wanted to give it to the Rebbe. Do you remember this video? It's ridiculous. Some guy, born a Yid, came to the Rebbe of $10, and he came with his Sfarim. I hate to say even that word, Sfarim. Not his Sfarim. What would you call it? The pamphlets. And he's giving over to the Rebbe. He's publicly. He's saying to the Rebbe, I'm much happy. No, he said, I'm much happier now that I found my peace. I forget the lashon exactly. I'm much more happy, and you see the Rebbe looks at him and says the most dangerous sign of a person that's sick is when they have no idea that they're sick. That's one. Then the guy doesn't give up. These guys, we can learn from them. Their akshonis is unbelievable. Not the kedusha. Azus the tuma shabatuma. Azus. They come. They don't. There's no. It's like a Chabadnik asking if you're Jewish and if you want to put on tefillin, right? So maybe it's a tikkun of that. So this guy doesn't stop, and at the end of the Rebbe, looking into his eyes, basically telling him, "You're so sick," he says, and the Rebbe takes the publications. Now I'm wondering, the footage doesn't show what the other, his maskirim were thinking at that moment, but you see he takes it, and the guy gets really excited, right? He's thinking, "Oh my God, I got in," right? And the Rebbe says to him, "I'm just taking these so there'll be less of this out there in the world," and then you see him throw it on the floor. So that's not. Why am I saying this story?
He does chew those, by the way.
That guy?
There's another video where he ends up...
No, that's the Reform Rabbi.
That's a Reform Rabbi. That's something else.
No, for sure.
This guy?
I'm pretty sure.
Because I know that video of the Reform Rabbi that comes in and then comes back
Later on
again.
in his life, later on, so there's a video of him learning in yeshiva, when he ended up running yeshiva. It was
Please find it and share with us.
I'll try, yeah.
That'd be amazing. Over there, the Rebbe is not doing Hamtaka. That's not Hamtaka. Hamtaka would be, let's pull out some good words from the publication. Not Pitom. It's Zmira. It's Zomer. It's pruning. We could talk about this stuff nonstop. I want to just focus it on the context of Negina, because something about Negina is able to make these things into effect much stronger. Rav Aaron.
So in halacha, I think that Rav Moshe and Rav Avadja had a machlok. This is printed. This is Moshe and in Chavadas. I think that Rav Moshe thinks that in terms of using church music as nigunim in tefillah, Rav Moshe thinks that it's a sur, but Rav Avadja thinks it's mutar.
Because he says if the
Wow.
Arabs have good music, why should we use it?
Rav Avadja used to listen to Om Koleta.
Kultum.
Yeah, that's yeah.
But maybe it's because the origins of, maybe you could talk, about Yichud Havaya is different by Ishmael and by interesting.
Church music sounds very different to me than
No,
Arabic
Mamash church
music.
music. That's for sure. That's the context. That I'm sure about.
As an Ashkenazi, listen, obviously just as an Ashkenazi, and also as someone that gets woken up like most of us from the Muazzinim here, the sound sometimes of the chevra from the church, the passion that those chevra sing with is
The mosque is
no the mosque is mainly recorded music. You know that, right? No, the chevra that preach on Sundays, the choirs, these guys are flying. These guys are flying. I just would say I've had more of a chashash of that getting into my neshama than but that's just because of where I come from. So it's different for each person. Yeah, Josh.
I'm still a little confused because you say Napoleon, that's Kadosh, but pop music clearly you can't.
No, I'm saying that the Rebbe could do that.
But I'm saying that even like, I don't know, Tom's song had a little bit, it was beautiful, but like it had a bit of I didn't even know it was a Jewish song until you said it at the end, And so like I'm just trying to like figure out what is mutter, is it pop? Nirvana's not okay, but a song that sounds like Simon and Garfunkel is, like where?
You're not going to find a seif in the Mishnah Berurah. You're not going to make up. I know how much. I know. No. It's very good. No, but it's dangerous if you just say feeling. If you look into, there was a band called Live. Do you remember them? Did you ever read those lyrics? They had the most. They were around. They weren't around for too long, but when they were around. It was mamish that same era, like early '90s, mid '90s. They had some lyrics. The music was so powerful. They had some of the most dangerous lyrics in the world, talking about mamish the Third Reich, like it was like this is mamash horrific. That's an easy psul, right? That's not what we're talking about. It's talking about, and then over here we're bichlal not talking about that. Here we're talking about things that sound Jewish. Here, that's really, I know it's okay because it's fine that we went over there a little bit, but here we're actually talking about things that sound even Jewish, because they're psukim. I mean, sometimes bemet, like the more sensitive you are to these things, and the more you're in the tchum of music, and the more that your inyan is to really like bring out the kedusha and the tchum of music, the more that these things will drive you crazy. And again, you don't want to chalila judge anybody, and you believe that everyone is poel l'shem shamayim, but be'emet, some of this stuff is crazy. So the tikkun is, where's the tikkun happening for all this on a global place? In Eretz HaKodesh. Why? Because what's happening over here? Listen to the mainstream Israeli artists. What are they singing about? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, tshuva. Rav Kook said this was going to happen. And yet, their things don't sound like a Yiddish shtetl at all. They sound more like it's like brewing from mamish here, from in here, but they're inserting their words and their bitui of Ahavas Hashem and Yiras Hashem, like throughout their music. And that's really the ma'apecha, that's really the revolution that's been happening here for quite some time. I do believe that Aaron and Yonatan Razel were the first ones to flip that lid. They opened up that ability to really go in, and then everyone since then that's been able to has like really jumped in there and taken it to the next level, and it's just unbelievable what's going on. But Yeshua, it's good what you're bringing up. Meaning, how do I know? So what's right and what's wrong? It's so delicate, but to be able to Keilu say we can machshir and mamtik Napoleon's march, only the tzaddikim could do such things. We can't say right now. you know, to do such things. Yeah.
They had a Chazan in Brooklyn, Esker Zion. He used to go to Arab over there and sit.
Yeah.
And he told them, because he liked music, he said, the Leviim in Bet HaMikdash, all the singing was Arabic singing.
That's what Rav Ovadia said to him? That's what Rav Ovadia said to... Wow. I never heard that. I never heard that. That's unbelievable. The context of today is so different because obviously, you know, when we even say the word Arabic in a week like today, it's hard. It's hard for us to understand these things because the context of the times we're living in, our sensitivity is so different. It changes all the time.
A few years ago, I was in Akko, and we went into like this, it was like a big church, and they were playing, it sounded like an Ashkenazi show, more or less. Like the melodies, the tune, like, you know, the feel, the vibe. So there is an influence, you know, and that's part of also.
Nachon.
So like, how do you,
I think you have to say that like the rhythms have changed though. Like you'd have to like really be blind not to realize that. Like, okay, so back in the day, like we're speaking about this Arabic music and maybe these old church things. Okay, so maybe there it's not as drastic, you know. You have, I don't know, someone playing a fiddle and a flute or something. But now, through the '90s, you know, through the '60s and '70s and the '90s, and now this trance music and stuff, you can't. That stuff is just those rhythms are different. They're gross, you know. Like it's like,
And they're even more hypnotic than
yes,
that. Yeah.
you know, there are changes to rhythm. So like, you know, maybe there are differences to like, you know, when you're speaking about these like, you know, old Arabic music versus, you know, what we're hearing today. I mean,
It's interesting you say that because, I mean, people mean well, and I can't tell you guys how many videos I got sent to me this last year or two from people being at bar and bat mitzvahs and weddings, and that song that the Chevra in Colombia took with my voice, right? And it actually pains me. Not that it ended up happening there in Tomorrowland. That's Gewalt. You know what I mean? Like there is Gewalt. We don't need that by us. We don't need it by us in our bar and bat mitzvahs to have that go on. We don't. Mamash, we don't. Do you understand? Like it's such a fine line here, but it's really about being sensitive to the koach of negina, because the electronic dance music, what's going on, it's so hypnotic. It's not to be believed. These trance parties, these things are so chazak. The beat is
trance.
Literally, it's called trance. It is what it is. It just means that, and then, you know, why do I see so much light in the other side? I was watching a video yesterday of this nigun, this Lubavitch nigun, that they wrote for the Rebbe's 70th birthday, and they introduced it there, and you see it, and you see the Hasidim, you see a trance. You mamish do see it. You see a trance of all trances. You see hypnotic. You see malchut. You see kingdom. You see royalty. And you see exactly the other side of everything we're speaking about, just as powerful. Just as powerful. Anyone that's been to a real tish, they still exist, or we go to Mujits, and you see what the music does, that trance. It's not to be believed, not from this world, but we have to be aware that because it exists in the tzad of Kedusha, zele umat zeh, it also exists in the other side. We need a lot of tefillas to Hashem Shebemet protect us and give us strength to be saved from the hashpah of the other side. But we didn't even begin to get into how he describes it here. He says that on Shabbos, through this mirrors of Shabbos, we're going to see something just really beautiful about a chance to really meet dabek to the tzad of nigunim de kedusha, and that it does those two elements of hagbaras hakedusha, hachnas hatoma, and in some situation on Shabbos it's all about zmiras haritzim, but be'ezer Hashem at the asid level there'll be such a, he says v'esruach hatuma avir min haaretz, the gvurus will be nichlalim beyamin yevatlu es hagvura v'akoach de sitra achra. It'll be a complete annihilation of that other side, and it'll all be. And that doesn't mean You think, oh, that means it'll only be like kosher Hasidish nigunim? I don't know. It says V'sham nashir shir chadash. We say in Zmiros. It'll be a new nigun that we don't know yet. You know, be a new nigun that we don't know yet. We should be zochet to hear that nigun already this coming Shabbos. Right, Shkoyach everyone.